I think Adrian used the word that the football world is shrinking, and if I think about the research that I did for my first World Cup in '94, I mean, I took that much paper with me, just in a file of some kind. And now, quite apart from the fact that all the information is online, ITV has subscribed to a system called Scout 7, which all the football clubs use, which gives you really access to any football match played.
What's it called?
Scout 7. It's a subscription service.
Oh, right.
And where are we now? Day before Sunday. I mean, obviously, Premier League title race was what it was. I could watch Match of the Day and feel as if I was probably not going to miss out too much drama. So I probably watched 5 Uruguay games. I watched probably 4 or 5 Costa Rica games, all there. Croatia, I mean, I've got my first game's Brazil, Croatia.
That's the opening game.
That's our opening game. Yeah. I think there's. I think that's a really.
How many World Cups have you done?
Well, 94. I was with the B. And then 98, 02, and 06 with ITV.
Yeah.
And 10. So how many is that? Whatever.
And how's your excitement level this time around?
Well, I think, particularly people of my generation, I had never set foot in the country of Brazil until last June when England played there. There is a bit of a sort of a Mecca feeling about going to watch a major international football tournament in a country which I suppose the rest of the world would regard England as the home of football, but in many ways feels like the spiritual home of the game. And that's why I think the opening game is so important, because everything we're hearing is that Brazil hasn't fallen in love with the idea of hosting a World Cup as yet. Now, if Brazil put 4 past Croatia on opening night in Sao Paulo, that might change in 90 minutes. If they don't,
it opens it up slightly.
Well, it opens the tournament up, I guess, but also I think the concern would be whether the tournament might be diluted by the scepticism that the Brazilian people have about, at the moment, appear to have about the money that's been spent on the tournament.
So they've got a sort of attitude similar to ours about the Olympics.
Not dissimilar, and then a lot of people sort of say, as soon as it started. Well, it wasn't. I mean, 4 or 5 days into the Olympics, there'd been a cock-up over the flags, hadn't there, and we hadn't won anything. We were supposed to win the cycling on day 1 and we didn't, and so on and so forth. But the effect was extraordinary once we all sort of bought into it. It's a little different in Brazil because that was just a natural sort of Western scepticism. This is to do with you're building stadia and we haven't got hospitals. I mean, that would appear to be the gripe over there. Absolutely, yeah. But purely from my own selfish point of view, the question you asked about how excited I am. I'm excited about going to this kind of spiritual home, seeing the biggest tournament on earth played in front of these people who live football. But they might get there and find out actually they're not living football because they'd rather have a hospital. It will actually dilute the experience for all of us.
It will, yeah. So that'll be on. And how do you, in terms of England, do you have to manage an audience's expectations, or do you just see how it goes? I mean, how do you play that?
Well, I think television audience figures are not everything, but they are. They're a good indicator of how we feel about things. It's a little bit like newspapers. People can look down the nose all they like at the Sun, but people buy it. So therefore it must be good, or that's what we're all into. And if you would put a Manchester United game on, a Liverpool game on, a Chelsea game on, and an England game, 4 successive nights with the same weather, and say England would get the biggest figure. The nation watches England more than it watches club football, and in a tournament, the old television figures up near 20 million. The only thing that will get anywhere close to that is an England game and a World Cup. And we know because.
But aren't we dealing with a different era at the moment? We're dealing with
everything changes. Everything changes. Everything changes slightly, but it's still. I think the country will still be bedecked by St George's flags come the tournament. I think people that there is a bit of an outpouring of national pride, and if the team can galvanise that, and it's a little bit like the Olympic experience, if suddenly we win a game or start to play, or 2 or 3 of the bright young players, then I think as a broadcaster you can't be too sniffy about how you get carried along with it. You've got to be objective, because you can't be biased in terms of calling a poor England performance a good England performance, but I think you can get excited about a good England performance, and I actually don't mind too much if very occasionally the word "we" slips into my commentary. I am English, and as I say, as long as I'm objective, I don't. I think once you've got a 15-20 million audience, there's almost an argument for explaining the offside law at some stage during a game like that, because you are talking to people who don't watch football. No, but you know what I mean. I mean, I think that hardcore of 1.5 million, 2 million who will watch games on Sky, ITV4, watch anything basically that we put on it. But the difference between that, I mean, that's all that Sky get on a Sunday afternoon, 2 million. And once that becomes maybe 15 million, 18 million for an England, half the nation, it is. You are. I think you're commentating to a slightly different audience, and I think, like any performer, you have to recognise that and actually maybe generalise it a little bit more.
Yeah. And do you get nervous?
Only if I feel. I never feel nervous if I feel prepared. If I feel undercooked for a game, and obviously we do. I think Andy and I do in 10 in the first 15 days with all the travelling. So you're not. It's not the kind. My preparation for the FA Cup on Saturday probably began about 5 days ago. I've got all the time in the world to get ready, and then a full week for the Champions League final, and suddenly you're doing a game nearly every day. So that's why all this stuff about watching 5 Costa Rica games now and making some notes where they all play.
And what do you do as a commentating team while you're out there in your downtime? What happens then? Does anything?
The first 2 weeks you watch all the other games.
Really?
I mean, we'll sit in a media centre after a big game. We'll pile straight into the media centre and watch the next game. Take notes, because again, you're identifying. You don't know who you're going to get in the last 16, like quarterfinals and so on. So you need to. You do very little other than watch football and travel. Obviously, things thin out in the last 2 weeks, and you get a bit of time between games, and you can go and see some places.
Yeah. And do you fraternise at all with the BBC team?
Absolutely, yeah. They're really good friends of ours. Yeah.
Do you go out?
Well, probably not, but that's usually a logistic thing. We're in the same hotel, we will.
Oh, really? Yeah, right, yeah. Oh, you are in the same hotel?
Not always. I mean, if we happen to finish up in the same hotel.
Are you competitive with them? I mean,
because the competition happens elsewhere, really.
Between the broadcasters.
Yeah, I mean,
these are the big ratings. BBC is really important for them. It's important to you guys.
Yeah. I mean, there's only going to be one game that we're both going to do, which is the final. So it's only competitive up to a point after there. I mean, yeah, if we get a better figure in the first phase than they get, we'll boast it. But it'll only be the game selection. The public will choose which game to watch.
Do you think the public will be as excited about this World Cup given the time of day? I mean, is that going to have a big effect?
It's not too bad, It's 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 11 o'clock. There's a couple at 1 a.m., but only a couple in the weekends. So it's basically 5, 8, and 11. I mean, a little bit depends sometimes. To be honest, if Murray's beating everybody 6-love, and BBC is sticking that on at 7:30 against a game in the last 16 between Spain and Honduras, that's where. Or if England are playing, I mean, who we got? India. We've got India the Test matches. I mean, something like that. Maybe Justin Rose wins the Open. No, that's the Opens afterwards, isn't it? But I mean, sometimes if something else is happening, or it's a blisteringly hot summer. I mean, we've all got these childhood memories of trying to draw the curtains to watch a football match, in the middle of a lovely sort of late afternoon. So the little factors like that. But generally speaking, I think particularly if England do well, the country will embrace a World Cup in Brazil.
And are you hard on yourself with your own performance? Do you listen back?
Every game.
You're going out live. You're not like the guys that are doing the extra.
No. I mean, that's one thing you can't do at a tournament. You can't listen to yourself back. Although, funny enough, this year, probably for the first year, because of the internet and because if I wanted to, if I had the time to. But no, I watch all my games back. It's the only way you learn. Oh yeah, it's the only way you learn. You read your stuff, don't you? See how it's been subbed.
Yeah, no, that is true. I mean, is there anything that you regret saying?
Oh, every day.
Every day.
Yeah, you can't talk for 90 minutes continuously without saying something ridiculous or phrasing something in a way.
Sort of go in the ribs, or
When we do a bit of that, there's a bit of that goes on. We try not to have one of those sort of commentary partnerships where we mention each other's name every 10 seconds. So a lot of it is quite physical. It should be. We should never really be saying Clive around it. We should just have an understanding when the other's going to talk.
Yeah. So when you do all the games with Andy as the,
I think every
how to describe it. He's like
co-commentator.
He's a company.
Co-commentator. Yeah, we're really good personal friends. Fortunately, we get on. We stayed in some fairly miserable hotels in Ukraine 2 years ago, so we were just about to keep each other's heads above. When one sort of sunk a little bit below the water, the other just managed to grab him up.